Are you still on the fence as to why making the switch to EV power could be one of the best decisions of your driving life? Well, plugging yourself into a battery comes with all sorts of advantages. I'm Stu at Big Motoring World, and make sure that you follow us and subscribe as I talk us through 5 reasons why making a switch to an EV could be one of the best decisions of your life. More for less is always music to our ears. Charging up your EV at home is significantly cheaper than putting petrol into an internal combustion engine-driven car any day of the week. The average commute, for example, in the UK is only 20 miles a day. So when you start to factor in the savings on fuel in comparison to charging your EV at home, that adds up to hundreds and hundreds of pounds saved and left in your wallet throughout the course of the year. The added benefit is you're not just saving money, you're also saving time. This charges while you're at home and asleep, depending on your EV tariff supplied to you by your electricity provider. And it means you don't have to queue up at one of those pesky petrol stations waiting for your turn to put petrol or diesel into your car. Take this rather handsome BMW 4 Series. Now, depending where you live in the country, it could cost you as much as 80 or 90 Great British pounds to fill this up. And depending just how vigorously you want to drive it, that will get you somewhere between 3 and maybe just over 400 miles. Not too bad, but when you start to multiply that by the number of times that you might need to visit a petrol station, well, I think you're going to tell pretty quickly the toll that it takes on your wallet. Now, if we think about an EV, for example, like this BMW i4, well, actually, the numbers start to look rather attractive. So, to top this car up to 100% charge at home using a 7 kilowatt wall-mounted box is going to cost you in the region of only £6 to £7. That is a significant saving when you compare it to its cousin over there, the 4 Series with an internal combustion engine. So whilst they might look very similar and have extraordinarily similar underpinnings, performance, durability, and everything we love about, say, BMWs, the cost of running one of these things is a heck of a lot cheaper. Now, that £6 to £7 cost is obviously variable. It depends who supplies the electricity to your house. And if you want to know more about EV-specific tariffs that you can take advantage of for your EV at home, we have put together a handy little article that is over at our Big Motoring World website. But basically, an EV tariff utilizes off-peak energy, usually overnight, to give you a better price when charging your car. And talking of this particular car, if you want to know more about the BMW i4, we did a full review on this car where I nearly made the cameraman throw up his lunch due to its performance. It's well worth a watch. Now, obviously, you're not always going to be at home when you need to charge your EV, or maybe charging at home isn't an option. Well, fear not, you can still charge an EV out there on the open road. Now, if you end up using one of the rapid chargers, say at 100 kilowatt hours worth of charging capacity, then this will charge from 10 to 80% battery power in around about half an hour, and it will cost you around about £40 to £45. Now, I'm not being vague on purpose. There are variables to consider. First of all, you might find yourself a public supercharger or rapid charger that will actually charge quicker than 100 kilowatt hours. So depending on your EV, you could even charge an EV capable of accepting up to 300 kilowatt hours worth of power. And in those instances, well, your EV is going to charge a lot quicker because it's physically putting more electricity and charge back into your battery. Now, with the costs, again, it's variable. It depends who the supplier and the owner of the supercharger or rapid charger is and when you're charging. Frankly, sometimes electricity is more expensive and sometimes it's a little bit cheaper. There are ways of negating costs and making it a little bit easier on your wallet if you want it to. And we've put together a handy guide about charging your car out in the wild, which can be found on the Big Motoring World YouTube, as well as on our website. But the point persists. It's still cheaper to charge one of these than put petrol or diesel into your combustion-driven car. According to research conducted by the RAC, the average UK driver spends £1,300 a year on maintenance for their internal combustion-driven car. That's enough money to send a family of 4 to Spain for a week, or spend 15 minutes at a centre park. Choice is yours. An electric vehicle, on the other hand, saves you a ton of money on maintenance, and most of that is down to the fact that, well, frankly, they have fewer moving parts. An internal combustion engine driven car on average has around about 1,000 moving pieces. When you think about how complicated an engine is, transmissions, clutches, all that kind of stuff, that's expensive when it goes wrong. It's also expensive to maintain. An EV, on the other hand, on average only has about 20 moving parts. Less to go wrong and less to keep an eye on. It's just really wear and tear for the most part. Things like tyres or brake discs or, well, windscreen washer fluid, that stuff always seems to run out. And obviously, because they don't have an engine, some EVs even come with something called a frunk, which is literally space to put some stuff under the bonnet. But just think of all the money you could save on maintenance. If you've never driven an EV, let me tell you this for free, you are in for a treat. The advantages of driving an EV are twofold. Number one, when you put your foot down, all the power, all the torque is delivered instantly. It just comes at you. And if you're a bit of a speed freak, or you just want to have a little bit of power under your right foot, the EV is the way to go. Instant power, instant torque gives you one heck of an amount of performance. The second thing to be aware of when driving an EV is just the level of quiet luxury that it offers you. Hark your mind back, it would have cost you hundreds of thousands of pounds to buy yourself a Rolls Royce that was smooth and quiet. You can now get that at fraction of the cost thanks to a used EV, particularly here at Big Motoring World, where we're big on choice and big on value. But it really is a luxurious ride, no sudden changing of gears, and it's quiet. EVs are luxurious, they're quick, and they are quiet. What more could you possibly want from your car? We've spoken about maintenance costs and just how much cheaper it can be running an EV. We spoke about how much it costs to charge an EV compared to putting fuel in a traditional combustion engine driven car. There are some other savings to be had. Well, low emission zones, those things are basically something you don't really need to worry about in an EV. Congestion charges, I'm talking about you, central London, much cheaper if non-existent when you're in an EV. And of course, there's something you can't put a price on, lowering your carbon footprint, making sure that because of the fact that these things don't pump out any exhaust fumes because there's no engine, it means that you are doing your bit today for a greener tomorrow. There are many reasons to consider switching to an EV, and you know what? It might still not be the right thing for you, but if you do want to experience an EV, then head over to Big Motoring World, where our experts will talk you through the switch. Because at Big Motoring World, we're big on choice, and we're big on what matters to you.